What's going on, guys? It's Sensei Adam. Welcome back to another Brawl Stars video. Today I have a very special episode with you guys. We're going to be going over the exact map rotation for all of the events and maps in Brawl Stars. If you guys don't know, all of the events, they go around in a specific rotation in an 8-day cycle. And they all go in a specific order. So if you know this, maybe you guys can be prepared, and when your favorite map is out, you guys can be ready and play it all day. So you guys can just have this information ready for you guys. Plus, we're also going to be going over some more statistics, such as which events are the best to learn because they appear a lot more in the map rotation, and which events appear less. And also, which maps are the best to take into account because some maps, they appear twice in the general map rotation wall. Most of them just appear once in the 8-day cycle. A few of them, just about 6 of them, appear twice. So it would be in your best interest to learn these maps because you're going to be seeing a lot more of them rather than the other maps. And in the end, I'm going to propose my own map rotation, just giving some criticisms on what they can fix for this current rotation. Because as you guys are going to see, there are a few things that are wrong with it, and they can improve to make the gaming experience a lot better. And if you guys do enjoy this video, it did take a long time to make this chart and a lot of effort, so I really appreciate it if you hit the like button and also left a comment down what you guys think of this. Do you guys like the rotation? Do you guys don't like it? And also just subscribe to the channel for more daily Brawl Stars content. But let's just go ahead and get started on revealing the map rotation. Alright, first things first, we have to get some context on this rotation. First thing, if you guys don't already know, like I said at the start, it is an 8-day rotation. So after the 8th day, it goes back to the first day and then the cycle repeats. So that's one thing you need to know. Second thing is you have 4 events every single day. You have the first slot and the second slot, which both last for 24 hours, so basically all day. And then you have the third slot, which rotates 2 events every single day, which each individual one lasting for 12 hours. And then the last thing you guys have to take into account is sometimes, depending on what time you are playing the game, these events aren't going to be in the exact same day order as they are right now. Just because, let's say I'm going to be playing at 12 o'clock p.m. Eastern time. Here you have the day 2 first slot, and then you have the day 1 second slot still happening, because in my time, it only changes to the day 2 on the second slot at 4 p.m. Eastern time. So yeah, like this event can combine with different days, so you have to take that into account as well. I'm just listing like the day that the event is released, so you guys have to take that into account. So that's enough pretext for this video. Let's just get started and go over the first day. And right off the bat, you already see there's an issue with this map rotation. So first event, we have Gem Grab at Hard Rock Mine. Second event is Showdown at Feast or Famine. Third event is Bounty at Shooting Star. And then the night event is Bounty at Snake Prairie. Now the one issue I see with this is having 2 bounties back to back on the last event. I know they did this just because when they switched, like, people didn't like that Shooting Star and Star Gulch before used to be together, so they switched it up, but probably didn't take into account that they'd be back to back. Moving on to day 2, we have on the first slot Bounty at Cabbage Patch. The second map, we have Gem Grab at Temple Catacombs. On the third morning slot, we have Heist at Bandit Stash. And the third night event is Brawl Ball at Triple Dribble. Now I would say this is pretty good, but bringing back to what I said before, I say they probably have to separate maps that are similar together, like Shooting Star and Cabbage Patch on back-to-back days. I say they have to kind of spread that thing apart. And at day 3, on the first slot, we have Gem Grab at Bone Box. On the second event, we have Showdown at Skull Creek. On the first morning slot, we have Bounty at Groundhog Burrow. And on the last third event, night slot, we have Gem Grab at Hard Rock Mine. And this is another issue that I see with day 3. We have 2 Smash and Grab or Gem Grab on the same day. So I feel like they need to separate that and put the Smash and Grab on a different day that there isn't Smash and Grab on the day. On to the day 4 events. On the first slot, we have Bounty at Star Gulch. The second slot is Gem Grab at Sapphire Plains. The third event in the morning is Kaboom Canyon in Heist. And the night event is Brawl Ball at Backyard Bowl. Now this is pretty interesting because if you guys remember, Sapphire Plains used to be a third event. I think it was in the morning slot, but then they switched back into the second event. So now it's an all-day event. And you guys are going to see later on when I show the full chart, it's going to be kind of weird because there's just a lot of smash and grab on the first and the second event, so I think they have it kind of too much and they kind of need to tone smash and grab down a little bit. And on day 5, we have another gem grab at Mushroom Cave, and then second event is showdown at Thousand Lakes, so the new map getting the second slot. And then the third event is heist at Safe Zone, and then the night third event is gem grab at Crystal Cavern. Now here's another issue that I see with day 5 again. We have 2 smash and grab or gem grab on the same day, so I think they need to spread that apart and not have 2 of the same event happening exactly on the same day. Moving on to day 6, on the first event is bounty at Temple Ruins. Second event slot is Brawl Ball at Pinhole Putt. Third event slot is heist at Bandit Stash. And then the third nightly event is showdown at Stormy Plains. Now here's another issue that I see. Brawl Ball in general has not been on the second slot on the first 5 days. And I have to say that's probably people's second or third favorite game mode. So why is it just now that it's making an appearance as a main event slot and not just a third event slot that only happens for 12 hours? Which is, I think, another thing they need to fix with this rotation. On to day 7 and the second to last day, on the first event slot is gem grab at Crystal Cavern. On the second event slot is showdown at Death Valley. On the third morning event is bounty at Outlaw Camp. And the last event is heist at GG Corral. And another thing you guys are going to see when you see the full thing is that the last gem grab map on day 5 on the third event was Crystal Cavern. So on day 6 you had no gem grab at all, and then at day 7 the primary event is Crystal Cavern. So maybe they should switch it up and have the 2 Crystal Caverns that appear. And then the last day, day 8, the first event is bounty at Terracotta Square. Second event, Backyard Bowl on Brawl Ball. The second time Brawl Ball appears on the second main event. And then the third morning event is gem grab at Deep Hollows. And last but not least, the last night third event is showdown at Thousand Lakes. And that's basically it for the main map rotation for all of the daily events. But then we also have the rotations for the special events. Now they follow a pretty simple rotation since there's only 4 maps in total for Boss Fight and Robo Rumble. So here's how it goes. On week 1, you have Boss Fight at Calmity Canyon. And then week 2, it switches it up to Robo Rumble on Pachinko Park. Week 3, it goes back to Boss Fight on Hall of the Mole King. And at week 4, it goes back to Robo Rumble on Steel Junction, and it just repeats the cycle all over again. And if you guys take the entire map rotation and put it all in one big chart, you guys can see which events dominate the most and which ones are seeing a lot more less. And if you guys do want to see this entire map rotation and have a copy of it for yourself, you guys can either just take a screenshot of the screen right now, or I'll leave a link down in the description below where you guys can download an exact copy of this map rotation for yourselves, just so you guys can have like full reference when the events are going to happen, because it's really important in the game. You guys play which maps are good for each individual brawlers. So just having a reference for yourself, knowing exactly when each map is going to happen, is really good for your progression in the game. So then from this chart, I was able to gather some data and then put it into a separate chart, just detailing which events are the most predominant and which ones show up the most throughout this 8-day rotation. And of course, no surprise, Smash and Grab is at number 1 with 9 events total throughout the 8 days, totaling around 7.5 days of playable time throughout the rotation. So I'm pretty sure they want it to be its most predominant game mode. And another interesting aspect of this, of course, is there are a few maps that do duplicate themselves throughout the rotation, meaning they appear either on the first and second event slot, and then they also make their way into the third slot as well. And these maps you guys might want to take a keen interest in mastering them, just because they appear a lot more often than other maps. And these are, of course, Hard Rock Mine, Crystal Cavern both in Gem Grab, Heist in Bandit Stash, Thousand Lakes in Showdown, and lastly, Backyard Bowl in Brawl Bowl. There are 2 maps though that I would switch on this rotation if they are to have duplicates, and those are Bandit Stash and Thousand Lakes. Thousand Lakes I get, it's a new map, so then they just remove the Feast or Famine from the third event to put that in. But I just think that Feast or Famine is a lot more diverse in its gameplay, just because you can have tanks go around in the middle while you have long range brawlers on the outside. It's a much more better staple for Showdown in general. As for Bandit Stash, I just don't feel it's balanced enough to be a duplicate map. I think Safe Zone is a lot better because it just provides you with a lot more variability on which brawlers you guys can play. Alright, so let's go ahead and go back to the main event rotation and see a few things that we might be able to take from this and how we can improve this map rotation in general. First off, there's a few things I would do if I was designing this map rotation that I believe would make it a lot more fun and a lot better. First, there's a few simple things like, let's say those 2 bounty maps on the first day that are pretty obvious. Just try and separate them so you don't have back-to-back bounty. Second thing, you guys see that string of 3 heist days in a row? I would say you probably want to separate that and have one day of heist, another day where you don't have it, another day of heist, another one where you don't have it. So yeah, I think separating those 3 days straight back to back will be a lot better. Third thing I would say is there's way too much smash and grab scattered all over the rotation. I know guys, I know, it's their primary game mode. They want people to focus on that just because I think that's what's gonna like really be competitive in the future. But I just think there's way too much. And look at this guys, on day 6 there's no smash and grab at all, while on day 3 and day 5 there's 2 smash and grabs all together. So I just think they need to split that apart and make it so there's a smash and grab every single day, of course, but not 2 on one day. And then the last thing, of course, I would say is add a little bit more Brawl Ball, just because I would say the community likes that game mode a lot. It's so much fun, and just provides a lot more diversity to the game. But it's really sad that there's almost no Brawl Ball. It's the game mode that shows up the least throughout this rotation. Even Heist has more events than Brawl Ball. Just think about that, guys. And then the last thing I just thought about a little bit is they maybe need to try and separate the long range bounty maps, because if you guys think about it, bounty at Shooting Star and on the next day at Cabbage Patch, which is another long range map, is kind of overkill. So they probably need to separate Shooting Star, Cabbage Patch, and Star Gulch a little bit more. So after tinkering with my tool over here on making the event rotation, I just came up with this, and I think this would be the best map rotation that they could make into the game. First thing that I did is I removed 2 events. Basically, I removed one heist event, which was the duplicate bandit stash that they had before. I know some people like heist, but currently I just think that heist is so unbalanced that most people don't like it. So I'd suggest just removing that one duplicate heist and having one event slot for each of the individual heist events. Second thing, of course, I removed one of the gem grab events. For me, it was Hard Rock Mine, but it could be either Crystal Cavern or Hard Rock Mine. It doesn't really matter. I know people like that game mode a lot, but I just think it's way too littered with that game mode right now. So 8, I believe, would be fine. Like 8 is still a lot. And then I switched it up, so there's a smash and grab event on each one of every single day. So we filled up day 6 having deep hollows instead of day 8. Now if you look at it, it's all balanced, and every single day has either bounty or smash and grab as well. And for those 2 I just removed, I added 2 more Brawl Ball events. One, I put it on the second event slot, so now all of the maps show up on the second event, and it also added one to the third event, so all the maps also show up on the third event. I know it might seem overkill to have all of the Brawl Ball maps played twice, but that also emphasizes that they need more Brawl Ball maps just to add some more variability to it. And then I just moved some more minor things around just to improve the gameplay experience overall. Like we made all of the long range bounty maps such as Cabbage Patch, Star Gulch, and Shooting Star all at least 2 days apart. So Cabbage Patch is on day 2, Star Gulch day 4, and Shooting Star on day 7. That way, all of the long range maps, you won't be like cluttered with all of them happening around the same time. And we moved Sapphire Plains from a second event slot to a third event slot just because I think the mood of that map warrants it to be a third event, because it's more like a random fun map rather than like a serious competitive map, which I think that's what they were going for with their first and second event smash and grab maps. And then the last thing, of course, was I switched the duplicate showdown map, which now is 1000 Lakes, back to Feast or Famine like it was before. I know people are just wanting to try 1000 Lakes because it's like a new map, but I just feel like Feast or Famine is like a much better showdown map than 1000 Lakes in general. But yeah guys, that's it for my theoretical event rotation building. What do you think? Do you like this rotation? Do you think it can be improved on? I think having this rotation rather than the one we have right now would greatly improve the gameplay experience. But if you guys did enjoy the video, make sure to like, comment on what you think of the map rotation, and also subscribe for more daily Brawl Stars content. And I really appreciate if you guys did those 3 things, because just making this chart did take a lot of my time. But as always guys, I'll see y'all next time. Peace.